It's 4 o'clock in Farmville, Virginia. It's 1 p.m. in Medford, Oregon. Americans across the fruited plain are awakening to a sobering reality today. The reality is this: a puppet uttering words that are not his own, carrying out the agenda of a shadow government, is committed to permanently dividing the United States. Joe Biden laid down the gauntlet last night. Either you surrender to his anti-American ideology, either you abandon debate and free speech, either you do exactly what he and his apparatchiks say, or you are his and his regime's enemy. This sad little man of a sadder and more minuscule worldview revealed to a watching world his intentions: the destruction of the representative republic known as the United States. I, your liberty-loving Latino, will respond without fear or favor. The Chris Salcedo Show starts right now. And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show on Newsmax. Real Americans oppose tyrants. That's our focus in today's preamble. Reaction is pouring in from Joe Biden's speech. Most are distressed, angered, and fearful of what they saw. Joe Biden tried to say that at least 75 million Americans who voted against him and millions more who have turned against him since he began his reign of terror are all enemies of the state. He did so from a backdrop that some described as hellish, others described as dark and menacing. Let's go back to that picture. Put it up there on the screen. Do you notice in the background there? There are two uniformed United States Marines. Many noted how disgraceful and disgusting the Biden regime they were for casting our service members as enforcers for their tyrannical regime. Even CNN took exception. Breonna Keeler, who is no doctrinaire conservative or devotee to the Constitution, noted, quote, "Whatever you think of this speech, the military is supposed to be apolitical. Positioning Marines in uniform behind President Biden for a political speech flies in the face of that. It's wrong when Democrats do it. It's wrong when Republicans do it," end quote. And that's the question. Who in the military chain of command thought it would be a good idea for the U.S. Marine Corps to come out as the enforcers of the socialists in the Democrat Party? Could it have been General White Rage Milley or someone in his chain of command that authorized this? As we all remember, it was the disgraceful White Rage Milley who regretted standing with President Trump against violent left-wing rioters after they set a church on fire in D.C. That's right. General White Rage Milley regretted standing against violent rioters who set fire to a church. But it seems the current brass is perfectly comfortable, declaring that the U.S. military now only serves one political party, Joe Biden's political party. Real Americans know this is unacceptable. Now that we've covered the projection of tyranny that the Biden regime worked very hard to produce, let's deal with substance, or lack thereof, from Joe Biden. We should acknowledge that it was Team Obama who put those words in Joe Biden's teleprompter, as Biden's regime is chock full of Obama's devotees.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people.
Not even the press is buying this. The architects of violating the government's restrictions under the Constitution have been and remain those on the American left. They hate the Constitution and have spent centuries trying to undo it. Joe Biden accuses at least 75 million Americans of not believing in the law when he and his lawless party are responsible for the massive crime wave that is gripping the country. Joe Biden has the gall to claim MAGA Republicans don't believe in the rule of law, as his regime and party promote illegal immigration to the tune of 6 million and rising, while the Democrats have blood on their hands because of the overdose deaths of 107,000 Americans, as sex slavery and exploitation run rampant because of the Joe Biden Democrats' anti-American lawless policies.
They refuse to accept the results of a free election, and they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers,
Let me take this point by point. Joe Biden says that anyone who doesn't accept the outcome of elections is a threat to the United States. Okay, let's just go with that. Here's Arizona gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake. The question to her from a member of the left-wing press: you feel like Joe Biden is dividing the country, but do you think Donald Trump is doing the same by falsely claiming he won the election when he lost it?
Questioning an election where there are obviously problems is dividing the country? Since when can we not ask questions about our elections? As a journalist for many years, I was a journalist after 2016, and I distinctly remember many people just like you asking a lot of questions about the 2016 election results. And nobody tried to shut you up. Nobody tried to tell Hillary Clinton to shut up. Nobody tried to tell Kamala Harris when she was questioning the legitimacy of these electronic voting machines to stop. We have freedom of speech in this country, and you of all the people should appreciate that. You're supposedly a journalist.
Yes, supposedly he is. Great job, Kari. Never accept the left-wing premises from these basket of bias press folks. But it wasn't just Hillary and Joe Biden's border czar who Joe Biden just accused of being a threat to our republic. In 2020, your liberty-loving Latino, pointed out several other Democrats who said Republicans were illegitimate after their elections. Listen to all the Democrats who Joe Biden just accused of being a threat to America. We need only look back over the past couple of decades to find that precedent. After George W. Bush won the 2000 election, many Democrats claimed that he was an illegitimate president. It was a slur they used his entire 8 years in office. So much was their disdain and disrespect for Bush. Civil rights icon John Lewis, along with many other Democrats, boycotted Bush's inauguration. Democrats escalated their inaccurate and slanderous attacks on Mr. Bush by repeatedly calling him a Nazi, from Cindy Sheehan to Al Gore, from Keith Ellison, ironically, to the former Democrat Klansman Robert KKK Byrd. They called Bush a brown shirt in an effort to delegitimize his presidency. After President Trump's historic victory over Hillary Clinton, the loser repeatedly branded the current president illegitimate and even claimed the race was stolen from her. But it's not just in presidential politics. In almost every instance, when Democrats and their anti-American policies are rejected, they decry the election or the process as illegitimate. Stacey Abrams, for example, was defeated soundly by 55,000 votes in Georgia by Governor Brian Kemp. To this day, she and other leftists claim the race was stolen from her. They do this to delegitimize Kemp's administration, of course. Not even the Constitution is safe from Democrat socialists and their baseless attacks. The Speaker of the House, petulant Pelosi, claimed Justice Amy Coney Barrett was an illegitimate Supreme Court justice during an Election Day press call. Isn't it funny when the Democrat Party, when they're leading the election denial narrative, that I don't recall any Republican getting in front of the country and declaring them to be threats to America? You know why that is? It's probably because only Democrats aspire to be dictators. What about Joe Biden's accusations against the Make America Great Republicans when it comes to giving power to cronies over elections? Well, that too is a lie. In fact, it was the Democrats who are working to do just that. The Democrats put it in writing so that even you folks out there in the biased press could see it. It was called H.R. 1. It was the Democrats' top priority in the House. This bill would have violated the U.S. Constitution by removing control of our elections from the 50 states and centralizing control in the swamp in Washington, D.C. So then Biden, in a grand display of absurdity, claimed he knows the soul of America.
I believe America is big enough for all of us to succeed. And that is the nation we're building, a nation where no one is left behind.
Did he just say that? Did he just, no one is left behind? Says the man, along with General White Rage Milley, who abandoned thousands of Americans and vetted Afghan allies to perish at the hands of the terrorist Taliban in Afghanistan? Joe Biden, or whoever put those words in your little prompter, You are a disgraceful, contemptible, lying human being.
I ran for president because I believe we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. I still believe that to be true. I believe the soul is the breath, the life, and the essence of who we are.
Those words mean so much from a man and a political movement that celebrates the slaughter of children in the womb. Those words mean so much from a man who wants to force people of faith to fund his sin of abortion. Those words mean so much from the leader of an anti-American party responsible for a failed gov-ed system run by a failed ideology producing failed generations of Americans, as a national study shows. Sharp decline in math and reading scores. Now, the leftists are going to blame the China virus, but the pandemic didn't do this. Politicians who didn't follow the science did it, abusing our children for their political gain. They did this. Joe Biden, you don't know the soul of America because you have to have a soul to understand a soul. Joe Biden, you are devoid of a soul and a brain, as your years of plagiarism and unintelligent thought proves. Let me end the preamble where I started, with an email, viewer email from Teresa. She writes, did I miss the part of the Biden speech where he tells us how he's fixing or working to fix the problems in America? The inflation, the rise in violence, the human trafficking and drugs coming across the, quote, secure border, not to mention the death and rape at the border, and so on and so on. I guess it's more important to hate those who do not agree with him. Is this what America has become? Where the sitting president goes on prime time and delivers a hate speech? Yes, Teresa, that's where we are. Those are Democrat values. When they get elected and they mess up our country, they mess up our states, they mess up our lives, they think it is we who are the problem. Dear leader Joe Biden lashed out in anger, saying that 75 million people who believe in making America great are a threat to the United States. Joe